Hello, my name is Ann Kimball Hill, and I'm an assistant research professor of biochemistry at Indiana University School of Medicine, and I'm also the assistant director of DEI for the IU Simon Comprehensive Cancer Center. I'd like to share with you some of the things that we learned in our iPrep program as we used IDPs. So the title of my talk today will be Insights Gained into the Use of IDPs as a Framework for Mentoring NIH Prep Trainees. The work has previously been published in the Journal of Chemical Education, special issue on diversity, equity, inclusion, respect. All of the work, including the research and analysis done, was supported by our NIH NIGMS R25 grant. Briefly, I'll be going over our program overview, background that went into informing our research questions, our assessment methods and results, the best practices that we came up with, and some conclusions. iPrep has a mission to increase the number of PhD graduates who are underrepresented in the biomedical and behavioral sciences as defined by NIH. The program was designed to help underserved students obtain the research experience and professional skills needed to gain admission to and successfully complete a PhD program. We have 6 targeted programs, including biomedical engineering, neuroscience, the psychology, human performances, and basic biomedical sciences. Just to give you a brief timeline of our iPrep program, iPrep began in 2014, and in 2016, we started requiring our trainees to really fill out a beginning, middle, and end of year IDP. In 2017, we felt a need to develop our own IDP, and so we created that and instituted that. In 2018, we started using the NRMN Summer Entering Research Curriculum for trainees, and then we moved on to help them understand how to do structured IDPs with SMART goals in 2019. In addition to the training that we do with our fellows and scholars, we also work with our mentors so that they are better prepared as mentors for diverse students. So we instituted the Culturally Aware Mentoring Symposium, again in conjunction with SEMR in 2019. And in 2020, we worked with our Graduate Mentoring Center to develop and institute and require the Entering Mentoring Curricula for mentors. Here's a brief blast of some of our iPrep fellows, current and alumni. For the study that was published, it included cohorts from 2014 through 2020, but we also have done some work in thinking about their 2021 through 2022 cohort. And again, here's a lovely picture of our current cohort here in the bottom right-hand corner. Our iPrep fellows receive an intensive year-long mentor research experience in the cutting-edge lab here at IUPUI in Indianapolis, where we are the major health and life sciences campus in Indiana. We provide a professionalized personal development plan geared towards a successful admission to a competitive biomedical or behavioral science graduate program. We have a very competitive salary of $35,000 with healthcare benefits as well. We have opportunities that we give to these fellows to improve on skills needed to be successful in both their academic and professional life. Our fellows receive support to travel to national research meetings. We give them assistance with applications to select graduate programs of their choice that would be best fits for them. We help them prepare for their GRE, and we give them opportunities to learn and practice their interviewing skills with mock interviews as they prepare for their graduate program interviews and their careers going forward. iPrep really focuses on intensive training for thinking about how we develop critical thinking skills. We think about professional enrichment for our fellows. As I mentioned, we give them things like scientific writing, effective communication, programming. We talk about their career development and how they can better themselves in the areas of professionalism. We are also very intentional in thinking about and teaching them about the responsible conduct of research and research ethics. And we also do this from a culturally aware perspective. We also think about, and we've partnered with our library resources on our campus to teach them about literature searching and citation management And we also have a curriculum around the research rigor and reproducibility. Some key program components is that our fellows or students or trainees are matched with faculty mentors in their area of interest that will provide them an opportunity to strengthen professional skills that they will need in that field to thrive and be competitive in their PhD program. Also, we give our faculty members an opportunity to develop professionally and strengthening their mentoring skills. We are not only thinking about how they mentor students in general, but we're also thinking about the skill sets they may need as they're working with underrepresented students so that they can create a sense of belonging and they can help their fellows or trainees, not just our iPrep, but also all of the other trainees that may come through their lab to build self-efficacy and all the needed skills that they need to be competitive in their PhD programs and beyond. We really focus on fostering a sense of belonging and self-efficacy in our programming. Our sense of belonging is reinforced by having several social events with program alumni. We also do peer mentoring activities with other groups on campus. And we have brown bags where we get to have one-on-one meetings as well as meetings with administration and faculty leaders with our iPrep cohorts. The fellows participates in several levels of programming to focus on their self-efficacy, including having programming from our graduate office and partnering and participating in our graduate student organizations. As I mentioned before, they get professional development workshops based on the interim mentee research training curriculum. We also work with our psychological services to have institutional mindfulness resources, and we actually have mindfulness activities to help them combat anxiety, depression, and stereotype threat. And as I mentioned before, we expect them to go on to attend conferences, particularly those with the emphasis on increasing minority participation in the STEM disciplines. As I mentioned, our talk is going to be focused on IDPs, and we're thinking about this from the concept in the context that NIH has required all of their training programs to use IDPs. The intent is to utilize these IDPs as a mechanism for identifying, planning, and achieving the trainees' career objectives in a more structured manner. Traditionally, IDPs are thought of in this way. They're thinking about motivating the trainee through the recognition and celebration of accomplishments, setting short and long-term goals, teaching strategies towards prioritizing tasks and identifying and creating pathways to overcome barriers to success. It's a platform for building a rapport and relationship between the mentor and the mentee, as well as give them a platform for getting productive and constructive criticism. It's a bi-directional communication so that they can continuously talk about their expectations, as well as their process and their progress towards their goals. Again, thinking about the trainee's professional and personal development, and it all is supposed to lead to a better academic performance, resiliency, persistence, network, and career satisfaction. Traditionally, we think about my IDP from science, which is thinking about introspective self-assessment of skills and experiences. It helps them explore and identify potential pathways, and then it's confidential when they complete it, but it's suggested that they work with their mentors in a regular iterative process to update their IDP. ACS, the American Chemical Society, also has a Chem IDP, where they assess their professional technical skills and they think about how they can strengthen those skills. It helps them track their success in building their skills and reaching their goals. It again has a mechanism for exploring and identifying potential career pathways, but there is no interaction with the mentors. In a more progressive view of the IDP, you want to start again with goal setting, but it also provides a platform for addressing anxiety and increasing learner agency, building support networks, reducing feelings of isolation, criticism, or disrespect, providing social support, and thinking about creating safe spaces for trainees to be motivated, have positive self-efficacy, and increase their sense of belonging. When we're thinking about social support mentoring, it's really about emotional support, where you're listening to the other's concern, informational support, where you're thinking about advice and guidance, appraisal support, where you're providing constructive and honest feedback, and instrumental support, where you're providing tangible goods to ensure that their overall well-being is intact. And then you're also thinking about their self-agency. So when we're thinking about how you incorporate this into a social support for IDPs, we have four main components. You've got the diversity in the executive committee as an oversight of the process between the mentor and the fellow. We have research and culturally aware mentor training. We also train our mentors in emotional and informational support. And then we also provide short-term coaching and social support as new IDP questions. As to our assessment methods, we use both summative and formative evaluations. In our summative methods, we're going to focus today on recruitment, scholarly work, grad, apps, enrollment, completion numbers, thinking about their learning gains, particularly in their research skills and their self-efficacy and their commitment to the field and how they go about conducting research. And a lot of that's coming from formative methods as well, from questionnaires from multiple source groups. For the IDPs, we're specifically wanting to make sure that we get 100% participation in developing IDPs in the iterative process. In the knowledge skills, we really want to think about how they're gaining skills in the areas that we talked about earlier, and what instruments can really be used to assess their growth. And then we're also thinking about how much research and scholarly activities that they are producing during their time with IPREP, and what is the result of that as well. In our study, we have the executive committee, faculty members, and fellows that participated. We have one of the interesting things about our program that most programs actually have is that most of our fellows are not able to be matched with someone that matches their identities and their faculty mentor. And so I'm just highlighting that we have two different groups. The first group, 2015, 2016, and 2020, where there is less than 50% mismatch by gender, but there's over 50% mismatch by ethnicity. In our second group, we have more than 50% mismatch by gender, and there's about equal mismatch by ethnicity. And so these two groups will be interesting as we go forward in talking about our use of IDPs. When we looked at what our executive committee, like I said, that's very diverse, what they actually expected out of these mentor relationships, and our survey results suggested that they wanted mentors to include more emotional and informational support and less instrumental and career support. They felt that this was necessary as a part of using the IEP to help mentors be better engaged in all of the well-rounded training of our IPREP fellows. One of those quotes is, "I think we still need more feedback on how well the IDP is working for the students and the mentors. We need to ensure mentors offer options to trainees beyond IUPUI for research presentation and skill development, and we need to assess where on campus the trainees have been most successful." When we looked at their IDP usage, we had the best usage starting to happen in 2017, where we had a very program-focused interaction and development of our new IDP. And then one of the interesting things is that when we looked at our groups, the group that had the least mismatch by gender tended to use the IDP that we had the least, whereas the group where they had the greatest mismatch by gender but the best mismatch by ethnicity used the IDP the most. And then when we looked overall, we found that the ones that did use it, they found it to be quite helpful, regardless of which group that you were in. Then when we looked at the IDP usage by mentors, we saw some certain themes. We saw that they found that these IDPs are helpful in goal planning, career support, and appraisal support and communication. When they said it was useful, they were more likely to see it as a role for appraisal, career, and goal planning support with their interactions with their trainees. And they thought about this coaching towards short-term goal planning and long-term career support. But what was important is that we saw a trend that they utilized these IDPs for goal planning and communication, is that was what they self-reported. When we broke down our results by groups, What we found is that when the mentors thought back about how their fellows started off, they said that in group one, they had a lower view of the starting skills of the cohort. But all of the mentors viewed that their trainees were progressing equally across groups in methods, professional, and presentation skills, which was great. Now, when we think about the mentoring from the fellow perspective or the training perspective, most of them felt like their mentors used the IDP for informational support and not enough emotional, instrumental, and career support. And we found that when they had increased career support, it was because it was the mentors that said this IDP was helpful. So the IDP was really taking a big role in career support. And it also, for the folks that said that they got a lot more informational support mentoring, they actually had mentors that said the IDP wasn't as helpful. And what we did find is that even though the mentors felt like they were using the IDP as a means of communication, the mentors just didn't, the fellows just didn't see it at that level. And so what we consistently see is that mentors focus more on informational support and least on appraisal support. And one of the quotes that we have is that in 2020, one of our fellows said that they learned how to set SMART goals with mentors and build relationships out of the department. They see emphasis on finding support mechanisms and learning how to do that at whatever university they were at. They know how to get institutional support now to think about financial aspects when they're thinking about their doctoral programs. And they also know how to find minority serving programs for graduate students within their institution. When we look at how the fellows perceive their mentoring experience by groups, what we found is that the group one trainees felt like they had less goal planning, instrumental support, and communication than group two. None of the group one mentors that used the IDP reported any type of mentoring except goal planning, which is reflected in trainees reporting their mentors mostly giving informational support, which was less than, and emotional support, which was less than the instrumental support, and least likely, which was also least likely than career support. Group two mentors that used the IDP reported communication, which was less than career support, which was then less than goal planning and appraisal support as a part of the mentoring. However, the group two trainees reported their mentors mostly giving informational support, less than instrumental support and emotional support, again, less than goals planning and career support. So when we look at the results reported by the fellows and how they perceive their progress, what we find is that they have really about 7 areas that they feel like they grew most on. They grew most on when they're thinking about conducting independent scholarly research, giving oral presentations, bringing new insights to their research projects. They really grew also in not getting discouraged by setbacks and they saw more flexibility and more willingness to take a risk. And they really saw an increase in positive mentoring relationships with faculty members. And so we see not only the scientific improvement, we also see the self-efficacy improvement. And then when we look at it by group one trainees reported growth in collaborating on projects, writing proposals, and language skills. And group two trainees reported no statistically significant growth in any of the skill groups. At the beginning, group one trainees really were seen as, they even viewed themselves as having fewer writing skills than the group two trainees. And this is, again, this is only a metric of pre or post with differences between groups. Trainees and mentors agreed in their rankings in all their mentees, except trainees received greater growth in conducting research. These results suggest that the group one mentoring had a bigger impact than group two in their scientific skills. So some of the things our fellows said about the experience is that they had a great experience working with their faculty member, and they played critical roles in everything that they achieved and learned in the program. The mentor relationship vastly improved and got stronger over the course of the program. And then it created a great learning environment, and the lab was enjoyable. And then we had some folks that said it was extraordinary, and the mentor was eager to help them grow in areas that they identified as a weakness, and they helped them set goals and realistic timeframes to achieve them. Some other things that they said is the experiences were extremely positive, but they weren't sure if it was an indication of how great the mentor was or just how great the program overall and how it worked with the mentor. And then we also have that the great relationship with the PI and the other folks in the lab taught them really useful techniques, and they really built relationships that were going to be important over their career. And one of the really great quotes thinking about their confidence is that their confidence in their ability to complete a doctorate program, effectively sell what they're trying to do, as well as discuss their research with different audiences, professional development. And they had, great healthy mentorship relationships in the foundation for scientific writing. We've got great success with our fellows and trainees going on to some other really great R1 institutions. And when we compare our success to that of the national trends were suggested to be about 65% of most national prep scholar programs entering PhD programs, with 63% completing it. iPrep actually has 97% of their alumni being admitted to graduate programs, where 85% are in prestigious R1 institutions. We've already had 21% of our alumni completing a graduate degree. We've had 9 of our alumni actually receive graduate fellowships, and we've had over 20 publications and over 50 presentations as a result of their work in our iPrep program. And in addition to that, we've had several poster awards. So in summary, mentors that use the IDP generally found the tool to be helpful in their mentoring of the trainee. The IDP usage had a greater impact in all mentoring support categories. And overall, trainees reported feeling there's a higher level of informational support, but they really wanted more emotional, instrumental, and career support. And when we broke it out by groups, were group 1 mentors, where they matched better by race and ethnicity than gender. When they used the IDP, it usually led to coaching towards structured short-term goals and long-term career support. While they did see their trainees as being weaker in their writing, they had the most growth in the ability to conduct independent research, give oral presentations, and write abstracts and articles, with a total increase in their perception of their skill set. For group 2 mentors that matched better by gender than race and ethnicity, when they used the IDP, they saw a greater benefit towards fostering communication. And in that, they showed the greatest growth in their trainees' research methodology, and they didn't see as much growth in the writing articles. So when you're thinking about best practices for IDP-based mentoring, make sure your IDP is simple to fill out, follow and access by both the mentor and the trainee, where they have regular times that they check in about it. You reinforce the social and self-efficacy components and expectations. And then you have to provide mechanisms for supervising the team, like we have our diverse executive committee, where you can provide feedback on the IDP mentoring and use. And we also think it's really important to train and remind regular use of IDPs, where you explain the importance of the IDP. You require that they really document their use of the IDP. And we have to train both the mentor and the mentee on SMART goal setting and how to frame conversations with each other around their goals. So with programmatic support, the IDP process can provide trainees with the additional structure they need to have conversations with faculty mentors and provide the social support necessary for trainees to feel supported and persist despite obstacles as they go on to attain their learning goals. In addition, I'd like to point your attention to a NIGMS funded study that we have going on currently. That's an offshoot of this work, and it's also supported by a supplement of the iPrep grant. It's called Increasing Safety and Inclusion of the Training Environment. And what I'd like for you to do is to click on this QR code, because we're really trying to develop short training courses around enhancing the ability to advocate for diverse trainees. And so what I'm really looking for is for people to talk about what some of their stories were with dealing with microaggression, bias, and harassment during their training, and what they would have desired as interventions from their mentors or from other people in their training environment that would have helped them when those situations happened. Again, this is the article that I've been talking about or work in, and the research was supported by NIGMS, by R25. And with that, I would like to thank you for your attention. And there's several ways that you can reach us. Reach me by Twitter, Instagram. I have a TikTok account, and always by email. Thank you for your attention.